Hey, what's up everybody? Fate here and welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk about uh kind of partially why I've been gone from this channel for so long. Uh well, if you don't remember my video that I made like around a month ago talking about why I've been gone from YouTube for so long, it my excuse was basically me having to put all my time and energy into marching band, which now, well, it was done. It got completed at the end of October, and it is now the 20th of November. So that's fun. So hopefully I won't take up too much of your time with this video. Please just watch the whole video through to, one, help out my channel a little bit, and two, to kind of see the things that me and the rest of my band have been able to successfully achieve while I was gone from this channel, along with just the internet in general. Because if you look at all my social medias, you can tell I've been gone from a while. Well, from social media for a while. So, alright. So, in band, we started off in summer. Summertime was around the time when I stopped uploading. Summertime was also the time when I started uploading daily for like a month straight. And then after that month, when marching season, like when the summer band camp stuff for marching season started, well, it was already started whenever I was still uploading. But then once I realized that it's a requirement to go to summer band camp, um, I realized that I needed to start going to it regularly, like every time it is happening. So when I started doing that, I realized that it wipes out my energy a lot to do all that, because they had us going up there anywhere between like 2.5 hours to 7.5 hours every day for anywhere between like 2 and 5 days a week. And like especially towards like the end of summer, they had us going up there every weekday for 7.5 hours every weekday, like type shit. So that kind of got exhausting. To be fair to them, the last day of summer before school ended, they took that off of the schedule so then we can actually enjoy our summer. Because our school year started on a Thursday. So we had summer band for the Monday and Tuesday of that week, and they gave us Wednesday off. So we were able to enjoy our time at home on Wednesday, and then Thursday school started. So summer band was over, and they didn't even have us go up there for morning practice that day. They had us start the next day, but they gave us it off. So we basically just had to go through a normal school day for the first day, and then bam. But anyways, after that, we kept practicing our piece. The piece is called The Match. I don't remember what it's from. I think there's a movie made about it. But, well, my part, I'm a percussionist. That's the instrument I play. And, well, it's basically just any percussion, like drum or mallet instrument that you can think of is probably in there. So, there were, for the marching part, there's two different sections of percussion for us. There's drum line, which is the drummers that have. We had one set of marching quads, which is like, I think the other name for it is tenors. It's basically like four snares connected to each other, but it's not snares. It's more of like a tom sounding drum that you march with. It's four, but then there's two little ones in between the four big ones. So we had one set of those. And then we had three snare drummers. And if you guys don't know what a snare drum is, then you guys could probably look it up. You could probably look all these up. But a snare drum is like the single drum that you can just march with and play with like normal drumsticks type shit. And then we also had four bass drums. And then a bass drum is like You march it. It's a big drum, has two sides. You have mallets that you hit on both sides, like that type shit. So, uh, that was drumline. Drumline is like the first period band, uh, for for percussion. We had two people from the other section of percussion in first period, but first period band for percussionists is more of a drumline thing. Second period is what I'm in for band, and it is the other section of percussion, which is front ensemble. Whereas how drumline has quads or slash tenors along with snares and basses, and they march on the field with the rest of the players. We don't march on the field with the rest of the players, and um we are in the front of the field in a section that is known as the pit. It's basically this area on the field in front of all the marchers where you can obviously see us, but it's also like less obvious to help the rest of the marchers and all that be noticed more, make it more obvious for them. And the instruments that are in front ensemble are, we had three sets of marimbas, we had two sets of vibes. For marimba, I explained what a marimba is in my other video, but with a marimba, imagine like a xylophone, but 2 or 3 times bigger. Like, if you know what a xylophone is, you can look up all these instruments if you want to. Like, if you want to know more about it, I don't have any like pictures or anything to show y'all, so like, you guys are just gonna have to look it up yourselves in your own free time. Maybe pause this video, go onto Google and search it up yourself. But anyways, we had three sets of marimbas, two sets of vibraphones, which, if you don't know what a vibraphone is, it's called vibes, but it's also called vibraphone. If you don't know what those are, imagine like a marimba, but smaller, kind of closer to like a xylophone size, and it has a pedal to change the way it sounds, type thing. So that's what a vibe is. And then we had, outside of that, we had the bells, which the bells, it might have a different name than the bells, but with that, the bells is what we call it. Imagine a xylophone, but instead of it being like one on wheels, it's like one of those ones where it's hard to explain. I can't really pull it up, but it's kind of hard to explain. But we have to put it on this thing, on this like kind of cart thing. It's like a baby version of the xylophone, and it makes loud ass rings. So it really sucks when you play a fast part on the bells, because it's just like, and it's painful to listen to. But anyways, we have bells. We have, oh, by the way, there were, for the setup of front ensemble, there's 2 rows. The marimbas and vibes were in the front row, and then the bells, along with a few other instruments, were in the back row. There's also 2 more instruments that are in the front row called the synths. It's basically like keyboards, kind of like this one right here. I mean, this one's like 10 years old, and the synth 1 part is it's like this. It's probably around the same size as this, but it's better. It's a brand new one. This year was our first year being able to use that new one, and funny enough, our head band director's son, although he's originally a French horn player, he actually got moved to front ensemble this year for marching season, and synth 1 is what he played. So that was fun. And then the other part was synth 2, which, imagine this but smaller. That's what synth 2 was. Like, maybe around like half the size of this was the size of our synth 2. And we had, well, I'm not trying to throw shots here, but we had an autistic kid play that part, and he had a speaker hooked up to it, and his speaker was supposed to face like the audience so then they can hear him, but he's an audible player, so we had the speaker face him so he could hear his own part so he can play it correctly. And so that's all the players in our front row. Bells was in the back, but we also had chimes, which, if you don't know what chimes are, look it up, like with the rest of these instruments. But it's like, it's the same setup as like the marimba and all that. All of them have the same setup. But imagine like the marimbas, but it's like one octave. I think one or two, maybe. I think it's like one or two octaves. It might be just. It's 1.5 octaves. But instead of a marimba setup, it's longer pipes. You have to play it on top like this. And instead of mallets, you play it with, like, kind of, with these things that are kind of like hammers. And it has a pedal on it that you have to use, just like the vibes. And it's you have to like reach like this type shit. It's hard to explain that as well, and it's kind of weird. That thing ended up. I got a funny story about the chimes later in this video, but yeah. So we had chimes, and then we had this thing that we called a sound machine, where we set it up, and you basically hit the. It's like this little black box thing, and when you hit a certain spot on the black box, it makes a sound. It's basically like sound effects for our show. And since our show is called The Match, which is about a golf show, and it's about a golf match and all that shit, we had some like golf sounds, like a golf swing in there, for example. We had a couple other things as well, like crowds cheering. And for the crowd cheering, we actually had parts where our band was actually cheering. And I think we had even the audience join in and cheer with us. But anyways, back to the front ensemble thing. We also had my part, which was 2 instruments. The xylophone, which you guys should know what a xylophone is. I even got this thing right here, which this thing I actually was able to get at a one of the competitions. Whenever we got done with our performance, we were able to sit in the stands for the rest of the performances. And well, we went over. Me and a couple of my friends went over to the one of these stands over there, and they basically had these patches. They're for Letterman's jackets, if you guys don't know. The Letterman's jackets, they're like the jock jackets that you see in movies and all that shit. So like, we ended up seeing these, but for like every instrument over there for like $10 each. So I ended up seeing the one for xylophone, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll just go ahead and get that. So I bought it. Actually, no, I didn't buy it. My friend bought it, and then I paid him back the first day we were able to go back to school. So, like, I paid him off and all that shit. So, that's the story behind that. Can I put that away? And my other instrument that I played is called the crotales, which is basically like, imagine a thing that's set up. It's a 1-octave thing that it's kind of like the xylophone and all that, except it's like these little. It's like a combination between a cymbal, like a suspended cymbal, and like a xylophone. It's like a 1-octave thing, kind of like a xylophone, and they're like these little rings that are attached to a stand that you use like a hard mallet on, and it rings, kind of like the bells. So it's like a mixture between xylophone or bells. Like, it's like a combination between the bells and the suspended cymbal. Except, instead of it making a ring, instead of it making an explosion type sound with a suspended cymbal, it makes a ringing sound like bells. And it's also set up like the bells, except it's like little rings things that are shaped like suspended cymbals, and they're kind of made the same way as suspended cymbals, kind of. I was supposed to have 2 octaves on it, but we only had 1, so that was fun, I guess. And it was fine. It was fine. My part was interesting, to say the least. But anyways, we also had basically just a miscellaneous part. We called it rack. There was multiple different parts to it. There was the main part, which was the rack, which was basically like this little thing that we connect our toms to, which toms are like our bigger drums that are kind of like snare drums, but they make kind of like a bass type sound. If you play drum set and you played on the drums that are kind of like the snare drum, but they make like a darker type of bass type sound, but it's not actually a bass drum, those are toms. So we had, I think, 2 toms attached to it, although I don't think they played it at all. I don't think our rack players played it at all. We also had our triangle hooked up to it, which you guys, hopefully you guys actually know what a triangle is. And then they had wind chimes, which I think you guys should also know what wind chimes are. Ours are a little different. Ours are like an instrument type of wind chimes. So if you guys want to look up what wind chimes are for like instruments, then you guys can go ahead and do that. If you guys want to look up any of these on Google, then go ahead and do that. I'd recommend that if you don't already know what these are. And then they might have had sleigh bells. I don't think they did though. The only time we really have an actual like legitimate part for sleigh bells is for Christmas music, which is actually what we're practicing now, because I think the week after we go back from Thanksgiving break, which just started, I think yesterday. Yeah, I think it just started yesterday. Yeah, yesterday as of this recording. So, as of well, never mind. So yesterday's when Thanksgiving break started. So, like the week after we come back, or maybe like the week, yeah, something like that. The week after we come back from Thanksgiving break, we'll have a Christmas concert where we go into our school's auditorium, get on stage, and we play Christmas music for our people. But anyways, back to marching season. We for front ensemble, we also had in our rack, we also had a bass drum with a like concert bass drum type thing, not a marching one, where it's like the marching one, except there's only one side to hit it on, and it's a bigger one type shit that you have to roll instead of like being able to just attach it to like a harness and be able to march with it. And then there's one other instrument that's on the rack, and it's called the gong. You guys should know what a gong is. If you guys have watched if you guys have seen like the Doctor Strange movies and heard them hit like the dun. If you guys have watched any movie and heard that sound, that's a gong. Alright, so we had a gong in there as well. Our gong player, I'm not really much of a fan of. He was kind of a dick. He was actually originally supposed to be a trumpet player, but our band director moved him onto a gong because he was so bad at his trumpet part. He was a junior as well, just like me. He's a junior in high school. He was so bad at his part, at marching and or playing his part. He's not even a bad trumpet player. He might have just been a bad marcher, and our band director has made it very clear that he would rather march with a missing person than with a bad marcher. So I think that kid was like really bad at marching and was like a bad kid. Like he was always late to rehearsals, didn't put any hustle in, and was overall just a bad kid to have in our band. Get that fly off my screen. So he ended up getting moved to gong. He originally was going to get taken off of marching season entirely, but then his mom, the kid's mom, ended up going up to the band directors and like cussing him out and getting pissed off at him and all that. So then they kind of got forced to put him back in, just on a different part, because they ended up replacing that kid's original part with a freshman who was being his shadow and basically like mimicking him from like right behind him type shit. So that's nice, I guess. So anyways, our show, I already told you guys, it's called The Match. It's about a golf show, and I'm pretty sure there's a movie about it out there. I don't know what the movie's called, so don't ask. If you guys know what the name of that movie is called that includes that show, then if you guys could put that in the comment section, I check all my comments if they pop up. From my video from yesterday has comments that I can't read right now, so that's why I'm saying this. I've been trying to read those messages, those comments, and I can't. But hopefully for this video that you guys are watching, if you guys put a comment down below, assuming you guys don't like spam the comments, which that usually doesn't happen, but assuming you guys don't put in too many comments to where I can't read them, or they don't want to pop up for me, assuming they actually do pop up for me, I'll actually read them. So, yeah, if you guys know what I'm talking about with the whole movie thing, if you guys know what movie I'm talking about, if you guys could put the name of it down in the comments below so I can know, then that'll be great. But it was our show. It was a simple show. It was a bent knee marching show. Our last year's show, it was a straight legged marching show. Straight legged and bent knee are both different types of marching, if you guys don't know. So that's a fun fact right there. Last year we had a straight legged march, and this year we had a bent knee march. Last year I wasn't in marching band. I was in band for the rest of the stuff, basically, unless I like failed a class or something and they didn't let me do it. Other than that, marching season was the only thing I was missing out on. Other than like a couple of the optional shit like region and all this other shit. But I'm not doing region at all. I might do it my senior year just because why not? But right now, I'm not doing region this year, but I have been practicing the piece to get better. I started practicing it on Thursday, so I've only gotten 2 days worth of practice in. I can't get any more practice in for another week because of Thanksgiving break, because I couldn't bring my instrument home because I'm a percussionist and they can't bring our instruments home. So anyways, fuck, what was I talking about? So our show, we had competitions. Our first competition was meant to be a practice competition. Our band director even said that. We also even played our show at halftime during the football games, and we didn't do bad at any of. We did terrible at some of them, but considering last year we had a show at another city, it might have been for another band competition, and they did terribly at that show. So whenever we did terribly this year, they compared it to that show from last year, and when they compared it, they realized that from last year was worse than our shows this year. We actually did really good this year. We've had bad pulls the entire year for like the order of our competitions and shit, but for us getting fucked over with the times that we get to perform at, we did pretty well. Our first competition, we made it to finals and made 5th place. Then our next competition, same thing. All of our competitions, we got the same placement. We ended up making it to finals in all of them and making 5th place in finals every time. And then we made it to this one competition that there wasn't a finals in. It was just prelims, and there were like 20 to 30 bands in there, and that was like it was one of the few make or break competitions of the entire season. You had to every band performed, and the judges would choose 5 bands that they would say is like a first division band. And if you're one of those 5 bands to be like called first division, you made area. If you weren't one of those top 5 bands to make area, then your marching season was over and you got to move on to concert season or your Christmas concert or whatever those other schools did. And well, we went to that competition. We had a pretty decent performance. And well, we made a first division. We made area. So I think there was like a 2-week jump between that competition and area. So that next week afterwards, we were chilling while also practicing and all that. All we had that week was that week before area, we just had a football game, and then that was it. But I'm pretty sure I might be mistaken about this, but pretty sure that week before area was also when the whole Morbio TV thing happened. I might be wrong. That might have been the week before state. So I might be getting these mixed up. But if you guys have seen my 2 videos that I've made about that whole situation, then you guys know what I'm talking about. But I wouldn't recommend watching those videos. They're kind of like drama related type videos, especially the second one. But yeah. Anyways, so we go through to area, and with area, the way that area worked was that there were like 20 to 30 bands there, and out of those 10, like 20 to 30 bands, 10 of them made it to finals, and the rest of them went home, and their marching season was over. And out of the 10 people that went to finals, I think there was a finals in area. I might be wrong. I don't remember area that well, but I think they chose like a top 10 to be in yeah, they did have finals. We had area finals, and we had a perfect performance at area finals. A perfect one at area finals, which was amazing because area, if you made top 5 in area finals, you made state. And if you didn't make top 5 at area finals, your season was over. So we made it to area finals, and originally after the prelims, they had us in 7th place. They had our school in 7th place. Well, we had the same amount of points as 6th place, but they favored the other band over us, so they just gave us 7th place and gave the other person, the other school, the jump. So that was fun. But then we had our perfect run for our area finals performance, which was amazing. We had so many band members get our stuff put up and then start crying because of how amazing our performance was at area finals. So anyways, we end up, area finals gets finished, and they announce the people who did and didn't make did and didn't make state. So they go from, I think there were actually like 11 bands that made finals. So they start by last place to first place for finals. They announced all the way up to 6th place, and then we were like, damn, we really made state. Like once 6th place was announced, it was guaranteed we made state. Because they didn't say our name at all for the people 6th place and under. So I was like, damn, we really made state this year. Because this year was actually my first ever year in marching band. So being able to make state and do something like that in my very first year of marching band was an amazing achievement. So when it was announced we made state, I was like, hell yeah. Not only did we make state, which means we made top 5 in area finals, we made 4th. Which is not as good as it's not as good as like area champs type thing, but like that's 4th place out of 30 bands. Alright, there were like around 30 bands there for prelims, and out of all of them we made 4th place. We knew we weren't going to make champs. We knew we weren't going to make first. I was hoping for top 3, considering we had a perfect run. For at least in our opinions, we had a perfect run. However, we made 4th. We were like, damn, it's kind of tough. However, that was also our best placement yet, because on all our other performances that we made finals in, we had 5th place every time. So making 4th or higher was a great achievement for us. So we made state. State was the same thing as area, where in between area and state there was also a 2-week time period that we got to practice our pieces, practice our marching, and then go to state. I don't know what happened at state. We were the 3rd band to perform at state. And I guess we just didn't have everything ready in time. We had a bad run, didn't make state finals, and well, yeah, we went home, and our marching season was over. Which state was the final competition for marching band, anyways. So no matter how good you did at state. After state was done, everybody's marching season was over. So we made it to the end. I got this patch right here for my letterman as well to prove that I made state this year. And while most, if not all, the other band members, everyone except for like people like me that didn't get to do it last year, along with all of this year's freshmen, they got this one, but they don't have last year's. Meanwhile, everybody else has this year's and last year's. So last year's looks exactly like this because I saw other people's. It looks exactly like this, but instead of it saying 2022 right here, it says 2021. That's really the only difference. So that's how our marching season went. Our marching season is now complete. We went all the way to state and didn't make finals, and we made 17th place out of the 23 bands that went to state, which is pretty bad for state. Like at the actual, out of all the bands out at the competition itself, it's a bad placement. But considering one, those are also the best bands that we have in our state, and two, that's 17th place out of all the bands in Texas, basically. Because I live in Texas, this is a Texas school and all that, so you gotta think, there's like maybe around 100 or 200 schools in the state of Texas. I might be wrong about that, but I think there is around like 100 or 200 schools in the state of Texas. So making 17th place in the whole state for our marching season is not bad at all. It's bad when you think about just the bands that are in the state competition, like 23 bands, and we only made 17th. It's pretty bad. But considering we had a bad run, we still did pretty good and beat 6 other bands. It's not a bad thing. And, well, now that I'm done explaining the story of what happened for marching season, I'm actually going to pull out my synth here. It's an old one. It's a 10-year-old synth. I got it back when I was in Fort Worth, and I moved out of Fort Worth when I was 8. I'm 16 now. And, well, I got this like a couple years before I moved out. So it's around 10 years old. Maybe even older, maybe slightly younger. But even though I played the xylophone and crotales part, I'm going to see if I can play my xylophone part on here. So let's see here. I'm actually going to check if there's like a sound that I can make this make that actually has like a sound that's like, what about 041? No, that's, I don't know what that says, but I think I'm just gonna go back to the grand piano. So I don't play for the first 16 measures. I don't play until measure 17, otherwise known as set 3 of our piece. And I don't march because I'm part of the pit. So I just play my piece and that's it. And I basically, in the beginning, I do E flat to E flat and then back up chromatically twice. And then I do a little thing at the end of it. So let me just play that real quick. And then after that, let me actually raise the tempo up to 160, which is the speed at which we play that. And I'm pretty sure that's also, it's I don't remember what those notes are called. I think they're 16th notes, but instead of it being like 1 T theta, 2 T theta, 3 T theta, 4 T theta, it's 3 notes together instead of 4. So instead it'll be like 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. So this is the speed at which we're going. One lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. Ah, man. And then I hit the crotales right there. So if you guys didn't hear that bit at the end, I basically hit E flat, D, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, D. So it's basically just like a weird thing right there. So it's like, and then you'll, like, once it's done with that little weird thing right there, it goes back down chromatically to E flat. And then I'd hit my crotales on C and F, so it'll sound like, or it'll be higher. It'll be higher pitched, so it'll sound more like something like that, but it would actually have a ringing sound type thing. So maybe if there was like reverb on here, I could do that. And then let's skip to the ballad. So that's actually at 80. That's actually at 80 tempo. Can I actually change the tempo like this? That's at 100. 8 0. Cool. I'm actually not going to tell you guys the notes that I play. I'm just going to play it. I might mess up the speed, I might mess up the timing and or notes at certain parts, but I'm just going to try my best. So here's the speed again for you guys to get a reference. And then I play on beat forte. So instead of playing on beat 4, I play on te after 4. The te of 4, that's what they call it. And well, it's actually gonna sound weird because it's gonna sound faster than 80 beats per minute. It's at 80 beats per minute, by the way. That's what I probably was trying to say. So let me just play that. I'm gonna just let the metronome go while I play it. And I'd actually have not only me play that, but for that actual part of the ballad, me and 2 other front ensemble members, both marimba players, would be playing that with me. And then at the end there with the whole, oh fuck, with that part, I think like me, the bell player, all of our marimba players, and both of our vibe players will all be playing that with us. And maybe our chimes players. Might be wrong about that though. So all of our like mallet players should be playing that with us. Well, playing that with me. I messed up on the timing of that, but I'm just gonna move over it. And then I think there's one other section that I want to play for y'all on this piece, and that's in the third movement. So I'm playing you guys one section of every movement. This piece that I'm about to play y'all from the third movement is probably my favorite in the piece. So it's at 160 beats per minute, like that part of the first movement that I showed you. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. And this is what I'll be playing. Me and the bells player are the only front ensemble members that play this part at this measure. It's at measure 167, also known as set 51. But we also play this part with the woodwinds in our section. If you don't know what woodwinds are, it's basically like any instruments that either have a reed in them or like flutes. Flutes are woodwinds, and then any instrument with a reed is counted as a woodwind. So like flutes, clarinets, oboes, bassoons, saxophones. What else? I think that's it. I probably missed some. Bassoons also aren't in there. So our sound effects person is actually our only bassoon player. And you can't march with a bassoon, so they got put on front ensemble. Because they still wanted to do marching season. So the part that I play is... And then I'd hit the crotales there on... Fuck. Fuck me. So I'd hit F G A, F G B flat, and then after that I would rest for a measure, and then I would do a whole note on crotales for G, and then I would rest for another measure, and then do the same thing, and then I would do a half note on C, and then another half note on A, and then I would hit. And then I'd move back to xylophone, where I would do da 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 da, and then there would be like cymbal rolls from the rest of the front ensemble while I'm over here with the rest of the band playing this. Fuck. Nope. There. And then after that, three members of front ensemble plays this next bit, and I'm one of them. Meanwhile, no other band member plays at this part. And then after that, I would hit whole notes on crotales for the next 8 measures. First, I would do for the first 4. So I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I would go back to xylophone, where me and two other the 2 marimba players that have been playing with me on a lot of the same parts, we would all do this. Hold on. It sounds better on xylophone and marimba than it does on here. So, yeah, expect it to sound better than this. But then after that, it would go... I would play this part as like a solo type thing, because no other person in the band plays other than front ensemble at this bit. Well, and drumline does a little bit of stuff here too. And then I'm the only person that plays this specific part. So I would hit 1, 1, 2, 3. So I think I would hit this as a quarter note. 2, 3, 1, and then I would go. And then I would stop playing until measure 214, where the vibes and the bells would be over here doing a trill. The tempo would also change to 80 beats per minute again. So then at 216, at beat 3, I would go on crotales and I would hit C, F, G, C, and hold that C. And then afterwards, I would go I wouldn't play again until 221, where the tempo would go back to 160, and I would play. after that, I would wait until the end of the piece where I would do, what's the note? I would play that on crotales, and then that would be my piece over. So that's what I wanted to show y'all on here. I want to also show y'all a piece on synth. It's a minor piece. I have been wanting to learn this. It's I started learning it during, like, at home during, like, the closer to the end of marching season. It's the song "In the End" by Linkin Park, and here's how the beginning goes. I only know a little bit of it, and I only know, like, the left hand part of the beginning of it. So the right hand part is whole notes. I just don't remember what the notes were. So the notes are, it goes like this. And that's all I know for now, so I'm actually going to turn this off. I'm going to put it back where it belongs whenever I finish recording this video. And speaking of finish recording this video, I think I'm going to end that there. That was me explaining where I was, what happened during my my first ever marching season in band, along with showing you guys a little bit of my piece on there. So if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Go check out all my socials, either in the about section of this channel or in the description of every video, including this one. If you guys like this story, please leave a comment down below. Also leave a comment down below if you know the name of the movie I was referencing earlier. And with that all being said, my name is Fate, talking to you guys about my band marching season this year. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.